Hi, I'm Matt Griffith, and welcome to another episode of Places to Go. This is one of our travel hacks, and this one's on points and miles. In this episode, we're going to cover points and miles, and I have to say I love points and miles because they let me travel places first class in style for a little bit of nothing. So we're also going to talk to Brandon Neff, who is an expert on this topic, and we're just going to cover all the little bits and nuances so that you can be an expert in points and miles as well. So you want to maximize your points earnings. And the best way to do that is making sure you're using the right card for the right purchase. Some cards are better for restaurants, some are better for airfare, some are better for groceries, gas, pharmacies, you name it. Different cards give you different quantities of points. And so you want to know that and have them organized in your wallet so that you're using the right card. There are many different gas cards you can use that get you a little bit better rewards than, say, the average credit card. My favorite happens to be the Amazon Prime card because, of course, it gets you 5% back on all Amazon purchases, but it also gets you 2% back on fuel purchases. So who doesn't like that? Another great place that you can get double points with the Amazon card is on prescriptions at a pharmacy. Pretty much every airline has its own credit card, and they can have annual fees as high as $95 a year. So you may ask, what does that get you? Well, I'm impatient and I like to be able to board the plane early, and so most of them give you faster boarding access as if you had some sort of status with them. And that gets you access to the overhead bins. So, if you're one of the last to board, you may not have any overhead bins available, and now you have to check that bag. Most airlines, with the exception of some of the low-cost carriers like Spirit, will even give you free checked bags, and that can add up fast, since it's $30 to $40, maybe even $50 each way, which a single trip can almost pay for that card. And most of these cards will double up on the points when you're booking airfare with them, and sometimes will even give you extra points when you're paying for meals and other travel services. An airline card might not be for everyone. I personally like them, and if you check bags, you can save some money with that. My favorite card for booking travel and just paying for things that are travel related or even loosely travel related, such as Ubers and your airfare, your hotels, even restaurants. The Chase Sapphire Reserve gets you triple points on all of those, and they build fast. The thing you need to know is it has a $450 annual fee, which will almost surely scare most people away. But the thing you need to know about that is $300 is actually credited on your credit card throughout the year as a travel credit. So as you book, say a $50 or $100 hotel, you'll see a credit for that until you've reached $300 in expenses. So even your Ubers get credited off of that. And so you can pretty much say that, okay, now it's such a $150 annual fee. There are other things you get. You get Priority Pass. If you're traveling via air a lot, that gets you into first class lounges. That is so much nicer to hang out in, and there's usually free food and free drinks than sitting out in the main lobby of the airport. Another thing that it gets you is your choice of TSA PreCheck or Global Entry. Those are both good for 5 years. And so every 5 years, Chase will credit you for the purchase of those. So when you go to pay for it on your Chase Sapphire Reserve, you'll just simply see a credit for it. Now you don't need both, you just need one or the other. If you're traveling within the United States, all you need is TSA PreCheck. If you're going to go out of the country, Global Entry is what you want. And Global Entry automatically gets you TSA PreCheck. And here's the difference between the two. TSA PreCheck costs $85 every 5 years. Global Entry is only $15 or more. It's $100 every 5 years. And it's like going to Disney World and getting in the Fast Pass lines. It's like Fast Pass through passport control when you return to the US, not when you go to your destination. It only helps you coming back into the US. But man, at a busy airport, say, such as Miami, you are through in no time. We're about to interview Brandon Neth, and Brandon is a real expert on this topic. So here you go.
A lot of you know that I've used points and miles for years, and I'm really, really good at this. Until you meet Brandon Neff, and he's the expert. He makes me look like I really just don't know how to do this. You always know those extra little things that I don't know.
Well, I think it's because you have a life, right? I'm such a geek and a dork. I'm just in the points and miles thing all the time. Like, it's where I choose to spend my time because I'm a traveler too. Obviously, we're here at TravelCon. But the reality of it is you just have to spend time. And if you don't spend time because you're doing things like making this amazing, series or doing something with your life, like you can't do it. So it's really good to have a friend or have a community to do it and learn, because you can't spend your entire life in there.
And you have that. You have a program that basically a group that people can sign up for.
Yeah, so I work with financebuzz.com. It's a website where we talk about all things finance, but my passion is points and miles and travel, and we've started a group called FBZ Elite around it, where essentially it's just 20,000 of us where we go to learn and talk about this stuff, and just kind of go back and forth when things come up, because the reality of it is, I don't care who you are, you're not going to see every deal and every opportunity and every change to the hobby. So, that's where we try to go, and we try to help people out. We have a lot of people like you, right? They're like, they know the game, they know the ins and outs, but maybe they didn't know the recent change to a Hyatt card or a Hilton card. Somebody else is going to see it, they're going to come in, and we're going to talk about it.
What's your favorite card to start off with?
So to start with, it's really important. There's varying opinions on what you do and don't want to do. I think most people are going to agree that you start with Chase. I travel so often that the Chase Sapphire Reserve is a no-brainer for me.
It's my favorite as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, I was going to say, do you have, okay.
I do.
So good, I've talked to the right people. There's different cards that you want to keep long-term. In my opinion, as a traveler, a Chase Sapphire Reserve is a card you open, you keep right away. There's a big annual fee. Right, a lot of people see an annual fee.
That scares everybody away, and
exactly.
But they need to understand that annual fee.
Yeah.
Because $300 of it is travel credits.
Exactly. So it's $450.
Right.
$300 is travel credits. You're essentially at $150 a year annual fee.
Right, which is close to most other cards, because most other cards are $95.
Right in there, yeah. And there are some no annual fee option credit cards out there, but you don't get things like lounge access, trip protection, price protection. I mean, the $150 is so easily justifiable if you're a traveler. Really, even if you're not a traveler, if you're a casual traveler, 2 times a year.
Yeah.
And I know you guys are going all the time doing your show, so it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So like the priority pass that you were talking about with the lounge access, I've enjoyed that.
There's nothing worse than doing a 24-hour day of travel and not showering.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the lounges have showers, and I swear that is like my #1 favorite feature. Being able to take a shower between 2 10-hour legs or something, it's a godsend for me. So yeah, the lounge access with all these other benefits, like, it's really easy to justify, and I'm sure your people watching are travelers, right? So this is something that they can take advantage of. And the other thing is if that isn't what you want, you can start with a smaller card and change your card to a Sapphire Reserve at a later time, or open a Sapphire Reserve in addition to it, which is what I really recommend, because as you open cards, you know this, you also get sign-up bonuses, which is that initial influx of 50, 60, 100,000 points. It varies by which credit card it is. And when you do that, you're getting $500 to $1,000 worth of travel for opening a card and meeting a spin. And if you can do that a few times and optimize which cards you open, you can really start to stack up points and free trips, and then you get to go do cool things like you do all the time, right? So I really think that the points and miles perspective of travel is super important, and it's something that people that travel should be taking advantage of.
You basically, I don't want to call it gaming the system, but it's kind of, I mean, you figured out how to make it work for you and be able to enjoy life.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like, it's optimizing, right? Like, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're investing in stocks and bonds, you do the research. If you're gonna buy a house, you're gonna do the research. Is this a good market, a good school district? It's the same thing with points and miles. Like, yeah, it's a little bit of time, a little bit of an investment, but an investment of your time, but that investment is going to pay off. Like, no exaggeration. I'm not making these numbers up. I get close to $10,000 to $15,000 in value every single year out of points and miles. And again, somebody like me that makes well under 6 figures, 15 grand's a lot of money to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It really is. It really adds up. So it's made it possible that 76 countries, over 700 cities. I just go, me and my wife, and we travel pretty much every other month. We're on the road for a month.
See, there you go, 76 countries. I've only been to 41.
Okay, but I feel like it's become such a thing to like, I've been to so many countries, there's a check mark, so like I don't get caught up too caught up in it, but I like, when I know I've out-traveled somebody like you, it does make me feel good, right? Everybody wants to travel and get to that next level.
So now, what's your favorite hotel card?
Hilton cards. A lot of people will say they don't like Hilton. I love Hilton because they're very good value overseas.
Hampton. So you have other brands
Yeah,
that they have,
exactly. Why am I even here? You got Hampton, or you have their Hilton Garden Inn, which are nice, clean places, but they're basic and they're really inexpensive to stay at with your points and miles. So your points can go very, very far with Hilton, and Hilton's got a massive footprint. Pretty much anywhere you go, there's going to be some Hilton brand. And as far as programs, I love Hyatt, the program that Hyatt runs. It's when you look at some of the hotel programs, it can be a little bit intimidating. They've got all these different point valuations and all these different cards. Well, Hyatt is really, really simple. They've got categories, so it's 5,000 points a night, 8,000, 12,000, and so on. They're flat rate. They tell you what category it is, and they tell you how much it is for that category. So it's really easy. You get 50,000 points to 60,000 points, it changes. When you sign up for the card, that's up to 10 to 12 nights when you sign up for one card. So I really, really love Hyatt as well because their program's easy, they have really good standard, and I would say they are one of the fastest growing chains out there because they're buying other brands all the time. So if you could have 2 or 3, Hilton, Hyatt, and then maybe my third would be Marriott or IHG. It's really good to have a combination of cards and a combination of points because flexibility is key. I'm sure you know that more than anybody.
Yeah, so the more flexible you are, the better the deals are. Like even booking flights with miles, you can't say, well, I can only leave on Tuesday because the Wednesday or Monday might actually be a better day.
Yeah. Well, you can say that, but your points aren't going to go as far.
Yeah, you're not going to get those value miles, those saver miles.
Exactly. Yeah. Saver. Yep. So, yeah, you know it, and it flex. If you're flexible, the other thing, like if you're traveling on kids' holidays, if you got kids. Unfortunately, sometimes it costs you more, right? Because you're going to leave on spring break or summer break. But flexibility is key.
Yes,
absolutely.
It is. Yeah, and even flying into one airport to another versus another can truly save you on miles. I took my family to Switzerland during Christmas and to go skiing.
Bet you that was amazing.
Well, yeah, it was. But we found that the best deal was to fly into Munich.
Okay.
So we flew into Munich and drove it. Because it's a beautiful drive. Yeah. And so along the way we stopped at a place in Germany called Immenstadt. Okay. There's a Rodelbahn, if you know what those are. Those are the open-faced roller coasters that you control.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But we wouldn't have experienced that if we had flown into Zurich. And so that to go down that thing's like €9. Okay. So it was fun, and we wouldn't have gotten something €9 cheap if we had done the Zurich airport, and the Zurich would have cost me double the miles. So
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, so it was and the rental cars are cheaper in Germany than they are in Switzerland. Yeah. So
and it's funny you bring up rental cars too, because when you have one of these premium cards, go back to the CSR that we were talking about, the Chase Sapphire Reserve. If you open that card up, one of the benefits is you get collision damage waiver, which can be, what, 20 bucks a day sometimes?
Right, sometimes more than that.
Exactly, yeah. So that's included. It's another one of these easy ways to justify it, you know, and then, yeah, take that car, drive it across Germany, do other things. I just flew into Croatia, rented a car there, and we went from Croatia all the way down to Greece and drove it the whole way. And the reason I flew into Croatia, I actually wanted to go to Greece. So I was forced to fly into Croatia because it was less points. And oh my, I am so glad I did, because I got to go to Croatia, I got to go to Bosnia, I got to go to Serbia, and all these places I probably wouldn't have gone to. And I was blown away, that part of the region. I got to experience things that I wouldn't have, by the way.
Did you go to what is it, Plitvice, or it's in Croatia? It's the lakes.
The lakes, and the waterfall. Yes, amazing.
Yes, I haven't been to Croatia. I haven't been to these places he's talked about. So I'm already envious. I've been wanting to go to those lakes. They look like somebody photoshopped them. Every time you see a picture, you're like, that can't be real.
Yeah. So being able to use my points and repositioning like you did opened up a huge opportunity for me as well. So it was incredible, an amazing trip. Go do it, man. You'll have a great time.
Okay. So any other tips that you would give viewers on points and miles?
Yeah, so when you're first starting out, like I said, even if it's not my community, find a community. Go somewhere where you can talk to people day in and day out, learn these little things, invest the time. It's a learning curve like anything. You're gonna put in a bunch of hours up front to learn the basics, but once you get there, it is in constant change, but once you get there, it's small, right? Like, you get to the point where you understand the basics. There's just little changes here and there. So invest the time up front and find a guide, find a beginner's guide where you're not gonna pay. Some people are gonna charge you to teach you the basics. Don't do it. Ours is free. There's a lot of other free ones out there. Get the guide, get your basics, find the community, and get started now. Do not hesitate, because the banks, the hotels, the card issuers, they're not gonna make things better and worth more money. They're gonna devalue it like inflation.
And I've already seen that happen in the years that I've been doing it.
Absolutely. I've only been doing it for 11 years, so I'm still a rookie.
Hey, so maybe that's why he's so much better at this than me, because I've been doing it for maybe 4 or 5. Well, actually, U.S. Airways was still an airline when I started, and it wasn't. I only got to do one flight before they were acquired. So I flew on their, what I think it's called, Envoy.
Their premium class. Yeah. Yep.
And I was actually impressed for it to be U.S. Airways. But yeah, that was one of the first ones I had done.
So you bought U.S. Airways, and they got bought out by American.
Yes.
And now they're one. And typically, anybody watching, when there's a merger, it's rarely a good thing. Right. We want options. So unfortunately, it went to American. We lost some options as far as credit cards and airline and things like that. So perfect example. Start now, get into it, read it, because as things progress, they're getting smarter and smarter, and you call it gaming, but I call optimizing. Optimizing gets a little bit harder sometimes. So start now, do it, because the other thing is, when you start sitting there with your friends and your family planning a trip, it's a lot harder to say, okay, I'm gonna go on this trip and spend $2,000 in my pocket. $2,000 is a lot of money. Well, when you say I can do that with these points because I opened up 2 credit cards, it's a lot easier to convince yourself to travel.
Yes.
And I'm a believer, like, travel changes who you are. It changes how you see things. It changes how you talk to people, for the better. So, like.
Oh yeah,
just do it.
Yeah, we talk in our office. I think everybody should travel and see other cultures, because I think it makes you a better human.
I agree.
And your Facebook group is?
It's FBZ Elite Travel and Points. It's not just travel or just points and miles related. It's also travel related. There's a lot of amazing destination information. Nothing like what you guys do, but if you're not into the points and miles and you're just looking for a travel community, it's a good place to go as well.
Okay, cool. So check it out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
All this points and miles talk has worked up an appetite. It's time for me to go get some food and probably use my Chase Sapphire Reserve to pay for it to get triple points.